name's Alan Gregory and I'm one of the directors of Gregory Machinery in Brisbane. Today I'd like to give you a presentation on one of our very popular products, which is the JessEm router table, and the particular model we're looking at here is the JessEm Masterlift XL2. The JessEm product is made up of modular systems. Starting with this particular unit here, everything on here can be bought as a separate package, on there being that you can buy the legs for the machine, the wheel kits underneath, the table on the top of the machine, the fence on the back of the machine here. So whatever you require, you can buy and set up yourself. This morning I'm going to show you how to adjust the height of the router bit on this unit, which makes it very simple to use. And at the back of the machine here we have a digital readout, which is going to give us the display on here the height to which we set the router bit. The best way to adjust this is on the side of the machine here. As you see, you wind this down, that takes your cutter down. When you want to set the height of your cutter, you simply put a straight edge over the top, steel rule, and bring it up to that height. Once you've set that height there and you know that the steel rule is touching the router bit, we simply go over to here, press this button on the digital readout, and then when we release it, it will come back to 0. So we know now that the height of the router bit is set to the height of the table here. The ABS flashes on there, and you just press that button. We are now set. If I then adjust the height of the cutter, you can see that the dimension is now changing in here. So that is as simple as it is. You can set your height to whatever thickness you want to run your router bit to on the machine itself. So that sets your height. With this fence on the JessEm table, this is a split fence on here. So what it does, if you have a situation where you are machining the full face of your piece of timber, this fence on this side must protrude further forward to support what is being removed with the cutter. If you're using it with a rounding over bit or a Roman OG type router bit, you obviously have the fence in line. With this fence system here, it is adjusted simply forward by releasing it on the back, and you can move your fence forward to where you want to be running your router bit. Now, once your router bit is set to the height you require, we can then release these two fences and bring them in close to the cutter, so that there's virtually zero clearance between the router bit and the fences themselves. We can lock these ones up at the back here, and on the back also of here, when these are released, you have a micro adjustment on these two slides here, so that we can actually adjust this whole fence here so that it's to the front of the router bit, so it can be adjusted. The next thing is on the safety aspect of this unit. JessEm have designed a system so that you have an automatic guard sitting over the top of the router bit. So if this is used in school applications or any situation, in fact, you have a guard that is sitting over the top of the work. As your material is then pushed in, it then sits against the fence and is lifted up out of the way. This will sit on the timber or the material that you're putting through, so that there is total safety. As soon as the timber passes out the other side, the guard will then come back and sit over the top of the work. There is two different types of feather boards that are available for this machine, and on this you can move them to wherever you require, so that when you're putting your material through, you can adjust the pressure on the fingers backwards and forwards, coming in here and sitting up against your material. The same applies on the top section of the unit here, that you can bring that in as well. So as you can see, safety aspect wise on it there, your material is being put between the fingers, goes through the cutter and out the other side, and there's no getting your hands close to the tooling. One of the new innovations that JessEm have put together is a set of wheels for this unit. On here, all you have to do is push them down, and then at that stage the whole router table can be moved very, very easily to where you want to be able to use it. When you want to then have the unit stabilized, by putting them down, they sit on adjustable feet so you can get the table level, and they're taking them off the wheels makes the router table more stable. The next item on this system is the switchgear on the machine. It has built into it what is called no volt release switchgear, which simply means if the power is shut down, the unit will switch off and it will stay off. So if you decide you want to change a router bit or something, you don't want the power coming back on. So your no volt release switchgear shuts the machine down, and it also has an emergency stop here. If for some reason your hands are here holding your material, you can simply use your knee to shut the machine down. This will not automatically come out. You simply have to pull it back out so that you can energize the system. The next thing we would just discuss here is the inserts that fit into the router bit. Obviously you're going to be running different size router bits, so what you can have with the system, different size inserts for different size router bits. This goes down to 6.35 millimeters, or you can have one without the hole in it at all, and you can then set that to whatever size you require. But you can buy this set and they all go up in size according to the size of the router bit. It's imperative that you remove the dust. This particular unit here has two outlets for the dust extraction. One of them is a 4-inch or 100 millimeter outlet underneath the unit, and then on the back of the machine here it's got a 65 millimeter outlet, which is a little bit difficult to get hose and everything and to hook it up to your dust extraction. So what we do supply is a reducer that simply fits into here, pushes into the unit at the back, and then off this you can then run your 2 by 4-inch outlets to your dust extractor. Another accessory that JessEm have now produced is a MITRE slide to fit onto the table, or fits onto the fence and sits obviously over the top of the table. When your material is fitted up against the fence in that position there, you can then slide it through, and on the top of here you have bearings, and as you'll see, as soon as that comes in contact with this guard, the guard is then moving out of the way, so the operator is totally protected from the router bit on there. The router bit is now into your material. This MITRE slide is that you can release that and set it to angles. The angles are set on the top of it here and are extremely accurate. You can move them to whatever position you require, whatever angle, and you can bring it right round to 45 degrees and simply lock it there. Slide your material through, and then you can move it forward into the cutter. Another attachment that is available to go onto the JessEm router table is a product that is manufactured so that you can actually clamp your material down to the table. With the other MITRE quadrant we showed and slide, you cannot do that, or you'll be clamping onto the table. With this particular unit, the material is clamped between that slide and the clamp on the top. With this one now, as you push it through, the same thing applies. The guard will lift back out of the way as the cutter comes in contact with the timber. The other thing on this one as well is at the back of the guide here, you'll see that as it goes through, this here totally protects the operator from the rotating router bit. On this unit also, as with the other unit, you can release this, bring this back out of the way, and set this to whatever angle that you require. You can bring it round to 45 degrees, and this can clamp down on your material once again and lock down on there. So if you've got a panel or a piece of timber such as this, it's all held into position and it is sliding down through this track here. It is possible also to make this slide longer by putting a longer piece of material in here, so it gives you far longer positioning between the fence here and the router bit. But in principle, using this, you can use it for end docking of your timber if you're doing such as tongue and groove or profile and counter profile. Plus, with your shorter pieces of material, we can put it in that way and run it through. So it can be used for docking and for for routing for the length of the material. So from here, we'll now take the machine into our demonstration room and run some cutters.